I am in the mood to get colorful. Hi, Shannon Rowe Jackson here, also known as Caution Artist at Play, and that's because I love to play with all different art supplies. And folks, we are going to be getting extra playful today because I am in the mood for spring. I am tired of the rain and the snow. It's actually raining outside right now. It's a little depressing. I need some color in my life. That's why I'm dressed like an Easter egg. I want to play with color, and I have the perfect paints for that, and that is the 12 set of Luminous Watercolors by Holbein. I do want to thank Holbein. They sent these to me so that I could try them out. I am a brand ambassador for Holbein, Legion, and General Pencil Co. So sometimes I get to try out their products ahead of time before I have to teach about them in workshops, and so that is how I got these. These are beautiful, luscious, bright, fluorescent colors. They scream spring, and they scream let's play, and that's what we're gonna do. I am just going to jump into the sketchbook. I'm gonna swatch these out, and I'm gonna do a fun spring-themed illustration. I'm not gonna get too crazy, but I just want to see these colors in action, and hopefully you enjoy watching this as much as I enjoy playing with these paints. So let's just get down to it. Okay, let's take a look at these beautiful, luscious colors. As I mentioned before, this is the 12 set of the Luminous Watercolors by Holbein. And we have Luminous Pink, Luminous Opera, Luminous Magenta, Luminous Violet, Luminous Blue-Violet, Luminous Blue, Luminous Green, Luminous Lemon, Luminous Yellow, Luminous Orange, Luminous Orange Red, and Luminous Red. Such a fun and happy color scheme. Now, taking a closer look at the tube, we have the typical Holbein branding. We have the seal of approval here showing that if there's anything poisonous, they have to tell you. And we have the pigment/dye information listed along with the transparency and the light fast rating. Now, these are all going to be like a 1-star light fast rating. Typically speaking, when you're getting into fluorescents, they're not very light fast, but they're fun to play with. Look how bright this is. Get your sunglasses out because this is about to get bright. Now, I am putting together 4 mini travel palettes because when these were sent to me, they were sent with my granulating watercolors, and I had permission from my contact at Holbein to share these with my friends Lindsay Wyrick, Angela Clark, and Karen Clark. And so I had made them their mini palettes of granulating watercolors, and now I am setting up the mini palettes for all 4 of us of these. And I gotta tell you, that last palette, ends up getting super messy. I end up keeping that one for myself. I don't know what went wrong there, but boy, was I struggling with that last palette. You'll see. She looks a little trashy, but she works. It's fine. But look at these colors. Look how bright they are. And I'm telling you right now, the camera does not do these justice. It is so hard to get them on camera to look accurately, but look at that. Look how fun and bright and luminous these colors are. I am so excited to play around with these in the sketchbook. And those fun little palettes. Now let's take a look at my swatches. I use this fun heart-shaped stencil to draw out a bunch of hearts, one for each of the 12 colors, and then I have 3 other hearts at the bottom for some fun special effects. And this whole thing is going to be heart-themed. Now, here are the colors. I didn't have good footage of me actually painting them because my camera didn't want to focus. But here they are. So I have my 12 colors, and then below on the left, I have me dripping some colors into wet paint just to see that effect. In the middle, I have 3 primaries mixed together just to get an idea of how well the colors will mix and what I can do with primary colors. And then all the way to the right, I have my darks. I just mixed my 2 or 3 darkest colors just to see how dark I can get some sort of idea for a value range because these are all pretty high key colors. And so I know that it's going to be difficult to get really dark darks. And just a quick note about the 4 bottom pink ones. On camera, they look very similar, but they do have some differences in real life. It's just harder to see on camera. Now I'm coming into my illustration. I used that same heart template to draw out a bunch of heart-shaped petals to create these fun little imaginary tulip-like flowers. I am not looking for perfection here. I am just looking to get an idea of these fun colors. I drew out my initial illustration using a Prismacolor Kohl erase, so you can kind of see that faintly in the background. And now I'm just coming in with a Pigma Micron pen, which is waterproof, and inking it. Now, even these lines are not going to be my final outlines. I want to put some detail in here so that I can see how transparent or how opaque some of these colors are. And as with any range of colors, you're going to have some that are more opaque than others, but having these little black details in certain places will definitely give me an idea of that. But I do plan on coming in later on with a refillable acrylic marker, and that's really going to beef up those outlines after I have finished painting. I'm adding some fun little critters in here also with some of the heart-shaped aspects to them. I want this illustration to be light and springy, just like the colors. I think it'll help bring out those fun, vibrant colors really well. And it was just so much fun to get into the sketchbook, use my imagination, and see where the drawing takes me. I didn't have a huge plan when I first did this. After I did my swatches and I was looking at the hearts, I was like, oh, I really love that. I think that's a lot of fun. So that's when I decided to incorporate the hearts, and I'm really happy with how it came out. So now I'm coming in and I'm laying in the colors in the background. Now, these paints, many of them have regular pigments in them, but many of them have a mix of pigments and dyes. And typically speaking, dyes are not light fast. So for me, this is definitely a paint that I will likely only be using in my sketchbook for fun and illustrative purposes, because I know that dyes and fluorescents in general don't tend to be light fast, so they will fade over time. However, these colors just sing, and they're just so fun and exciting and expressive. There are so many ways that you can use these for special effects. I came in with a mixture of my purples and oranges to create that snail. I wanted to see if I could create colors that were a little bit more subdued just by mixing, and I was able to do that. It's still a bright kind of brown color, but I was still able to create an earth tone by mixing colors. So I thought that that was pretty cool. For the flowers themselves, I'm coming in with a bunch of the different pinks. I want to be able to use all of them. For some of them, I am using the Luminous Red. For some of them, I'm using the Luminous Opera and the Luminous Pink. And I'm mixing them up quite a bit because I want to see how they mix together. And I found that it was a lot of fun to take these and drop them into wetter layers. That's how I got some of the streaks on the petals themselves. I thought that was a really cool effect because they mix a little bit differently than other paints. And I was able to mix them on the palette fairly easily to get new colors, but when mixing on the paper itself, the way that they melded together was a little bit different. It made me think of almost like a lava lamp effect because the pigments seem to want to separate from one another in certain areas, and then other areas they mix together really, really interestingly. So it's a really dynamic look, and I think it adds to the playfulness. This, to me, feels like a stained glass window, which is kind of what I was going for. But do you remember as a kid, they had those kits where you could do the plastic stained glass, and then it had like this goopy paint that you put over it that was obviously transparent? And it always had like this mottled texture effect. That's kind of how these feel to me. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of loving it. It feels nostalgic to me, and it really added to the look that I was going for. So I mentioned earlier that because these are so bright, it could be difficult to get a full value range. And I think that if you were going to use these colors all together like I am here, that's when things like line art become important. I am coming in with my refillable acrylic ink marker by Holbein. It has a dark, dark purple acrylic ink in it. I didn't want to go completely black. I wanted to bring in a color that matched some of the colors that were already in here. And so I went with my dark purple, and I'm really enjoying this effect. Now, you could use these colors just as accents, and then the line work may not be as important. I think that these would be great to create special effects in other pieces that are done with paints that are more low-key and more subdued, because you could really create emphasis. So if you wanted to do like a selective color piece where somebody's eyes were glowing or something, these paints would be really cool for that. Or if you had a landscape and it had something in it that you really wanted to create emphasis for, like a certain kind of flower, you could use these colors to bring more emphasis to those areas of the painting. So I think these are really fun for special effects. And it's just, I don't know, it made my heart sing playing around with these colors. They really brought out my 90s baby energy. Like, I grew up in the 90s. I was born in the 80s, but I was born in the late 80s. Yes, I'm old. I don't need to hear it. But I grew up in the 90s. These colors are my childhood. I am loving it. It makes me think of my jelly shoes. It makes me think of my fluorescent socks peeking out over the jelly shoes. In fact, I feel like I had some pink socks with green jelly shoes or vice versa. I'm really picturing this. Like, I feel like this was a thing that actually happened for me. And that's the vibes that these are giving me. It's super duper fun. And honestly, Holbein is known for their fluorescence and their pastel colors, especially in the colored pencil world, which is where I came from when it came to me trying Holbein for the first time. I love my colored pencils, and they had been known for a very long time for their 150 set of colored pencils and how they had a whole line of fluorescents and a whole line of pastels. They also have some pastel watercolors like this as well. So let's take a closer look at this. I am hoping my camera can pick up on it enough, but honestly, this is just not doing it justice. They're a little bit blinding in real life, but I am loving it. Look how fun this illustration is. It's bright, it's punchy, it's springy, it's just what I was looking for, but look at this. Under a black light. Look how fun these colors are. It's like I played with some highlighters. Some of them obviously show up more than others, especially the ones that have the dyes in them. They have the fluorescent dyes in them. So you can see the blue is mainly pigment-based, the same with the luminous blue-violet. This is how it looks scanned in. Whole different beast. My scanner, she cannot pick up on fluorescent colors. And this looks even more like a faded stained glass window to me, and this feels nostalgic to me too, so I kind of dig it. But there are some scanners that can pick up on fluorescence if you want to sell prints of your work. Mine just is not one of them. And here's another picture where I was really trying to pick up on the fluorescence. It doesn't do it justice. I do love these paints, and I had a lot of fun with them. Thank you, Holbein, for sending them to me. I can't wait to use them in the sketchbook more and to create special effects with them in the future. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that it really brightened up your day, because these paints certainly brightened up mine. I still don't think that the camera did these paints justice. I feel like at times I needed sunglasses because they were so bright, and it was just what I needed. It was just the spring, colorful vibes that really fed my soul, and I look forward to using these again in the sketchbook. Thank you again, and I hope that you have a fantastic day. I will see you next time. Bye.